Hey guys, what's up? I'm so excited. We're going to talk about Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects. This book is amazing. It is, I'm gonna say, in my top books of all time. I really love this book. It's a very short read, 252 pages, so I was able to kind of like devour it pretty quickly, and it didn't give you much time to get bored with it. In my opinion, I kind of stuck with the whole book and didn't feel like I wanted to put it down for weeks before I went back to it, so that's a plus. We're gonna get into non-spoiler stuff, and then we're gonna get into some spoiler stuff, so I'll let you know once we start to get into the spoilers. Just as a real quick rundown, this book centers around Camille Parker, and this cover pretty much explains it. Camille Parker and her half-sister here and mom here. It's kind of like these three girls, women. And I'm also going to tell you that Camille Parker cuts herself. She cuts words into her body. That's like her thing. That's what she does. And I guess a coping mechanism, the self-harm that she does to herself. And then she's also an alcoholic. So as you start to read through, you see that, you know, she's drinking a lot, almost all the time, day, night, whatever. And there are some pretty, like, I know people use the word disturbing, but there are some disturbing parts in the book, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit more detail, and we'll talk about that as we go into the spoilers. But Camille Parker is a reporter from Chicago. Her boss hears about 2 murders in the town within a year's time frame, and he says, Camille, I want you to go back to your home, figure out what's going on. Let's get the scoop. Let's, you know, be ahead of the curve on this and see what you can find out. So she heads back home. She shows up at her mom's doorstep unannounced and basically says, I'm going to stay here for a little while I'm on an assignment. During that time, she has to face, you know, some demons that she has in the past from her mother and just the way that she grew up. And then also she's dealing with this half-sister that she doesn't really know that has like some of her own issues. That's what this whole story kind of revolves around. And then of course trying to find out who was killing these girls. And you know, Camille works with a detective, and she is, you know, like trying to get answers to what was happening, and she is going through also trying to remember and figure out what happened in her past and growing up. And it's pretty cool. So like I said, it's a pretty short book, but it's pretty fast-paced in my opinion, and it was good. Like I said, it's like one of my favorite books. So I'm going to start to jump into the spoiler part of the books now, because there's so much I want to say, and I want to make sure that we can get to everything. So the one thing that I do want to say is the character list was not bad. It was pretty easy to follow. I did have some random thoughts and some predictions. So my prediction, so once again, if you guys have not read it and you don't want the spoiler, go away. We don't want you here anymore. My prediction was that mom and stepsister did it. And then I kind of changed that to mom and stepsister were kind of in cahoots. Half-sister. We're in cahoots together, and kind of like there was a knowledge, and they were probably like trying to hide what was happening. They were trying to help each other hide what was going on. So that was my prediction. And then just some random thoughts. There were a lot of characters, but they were developed well, and the story just kind of moved along. So I wanted to kind of address that real quickly, and it was, and it did. All right, now I'm going to give you a breakdown of what I wrote for each chapter, like I like to do. But I did not write out, I was like so kind of engrossed that my chapter notes are probably kind of like stupid, but we're just gonna go with it. Chapter 1, Camille heads home for a new story, 2 girls, and a strange masturbation story. There was this weird masturbation story at the end of chapter 1, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I don't know where that's coming from. But I was like, it seems like it's important, so I'm going to write something about it. Chapter 2, strange reunion with mom and Natalie found dead in town. Chapter 3, funeral. Stepsister is an odd one. Camille is a drunk. Chapter 4, history of cutting. Chapter 5, no real info, just a very odd community and family. Chapter 6, mom shows up to stop interview. Something is up for sure. that was weird. I was like, why is mom coming to stop the interview? Like, obviously mom's got something to hide. Chapter 7, biting a baby is not normal. Chapter 8, Amma needs her ass kicked. Chapter 9, mean bullies and Amma is hard to read her thoughts. Chapter 10, biting is apparently a thing in Wind Gap. Chapter 11, bad environment and mom is crazy. And then I put crazy again in all caps. Like mom's nuts. Chapter 12, the whole family is fucking nuts. Scary. I forgot I wrote that. Chapter 13, Adora is a bad person and totally messed up in the head. Chapter 14, sex and more sex and mother issues. Chapter 15, arrest is coming, can't trust anyone. Chapter 16, the end is near, crazy bitch. Chapter 17, wow, 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 in all capital letters, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Oh my God, this book was insane. Now, we're gonna talk about a couple things. Okay. The weird sex talking masturbation thingy in chapter 1. She says, ribbons of moist pink flesh dangled from strings, waiting to be dried for jerky. The dirt floor was rusted with blood. The walls were covered with photographs of naked women. Some of the girls were spreading themselves wide. Others were being held down and penetrated. One woman was tied up, her eyes glazed, breasts stretched and veins like grapes, as a man took her from behind. I could smell them all in the thick, gory air. At home that night, I slipped a finger under my panties and masturbated for the first time, panting and sick. And I wrote, oh, question mark, wonder what the point was of this. So, I guess if I like overthought it, I could be like, okay, I mean, sex definitely does play a big part in the book. And then there was also a part, I'm not quite sure where it was, but I also noticed, so like, was mom a prostitute? Yeah, right here. I flipped to it. Because, you know, they're talking about the room, her mom's room that she wasn't allowed to go in, but there were men that would just like come in at all hours and all times of the day, and they basically made it out to be that mom was a hooker. And I mean, there's so much stuff. The cutting thing doesn't bother me so much. Like that's not like a trigger for me. But there are a lot of triggers in this book. I will admit that. I will say, oh my goodness. I was, like I know a lot of people were, I was really confused, and it was very confusing and very disturbing, I guess is the best word to use, when Amma and Camille were getting high together. I was so confused by that. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You're going around with like your 13-year-old half-sister and you're getting high. Like, I was confused. I was so confused by the whole thing, and it was like this weird, like, it just felt like they were crossing so many boundaries, like kissing and the drugs. It was very, ugh, I don't know. I could have did without that. It felt not, I don't know if it was like rushed. Maybe if they would have did it in like a different type of way, but it just felt like they threw it in there because they needed something like crazy, like crazier than all the other crazy stuff that was going on. I don't know. I was very confused by that whole thing. And there was something, okay, so I'm going to discuss this because I'm so confused by this part here. And this is what, all right, let me just read it. So it says, within a few minutes, I was asleep. This is Camille. The stink on my breath floating into my dreams like a sour fog. My mother came to me in my bedroom and told me I was ill. She lay on top of me and put her mouth on mine. I could feel her breath in my throat. Then she began pecking at me. So pecking. So I'm going to pause right there for a second. Remember that earlier in the book, Mom was like biting a baby's face. So like I kind of like pecking kind of. I don't know. Okay. When she pulled away, she smiled at me and smoothed my hair back. Then she spit my teeth into her hands. Mom did that. So here's my thing. The 2 girls that were murdered had their teeth missing. We know how the end goes with the half-sister killing the girls, pulling their teeth out and using it for the dollhouse. We know that. But why is this part in here about Mom? And they don't say whether it's a dream or if it's real, but either way, it feels like that's significant. And also the way that it's put in here is like, it's like this piece right here. So I feel like it's kind of like separated and there's a purpose for that. So to me, and here's the other thing too. They talk about the detectives. They never got who the killer was. They got Mom for something, but they didn't find out who the 2 little girls' killers were. Do you know what I mean? So that didn't come till later. So it's just, I just have some problems and I'm just kind of confused. To me, I feel like Mom and half-sister, Mom and Emma were in it together. I feel like Emma did what she did, but I feel like Mom knew about it, or maybe Mom taught her how to do it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Oh my God. Okay. So that's a part that just, it has me. Like, I'm just kind of like, and I was thinking about it. So I read the book like late at night. Greg was already in bed. I was like, I have to wait. I've got like 25 pages. I just got to finish the book. I finished the book and I went to bed and I'm like, did I read that right? I mean, that was Camille's mom who like sucked her teeth out. So I was kind of confused by the whole thing, but I feel like there's a purpose that was in there. So I don't know if you read the book, which I'm sure you have if you're in the spoiler section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Did you catch that part of the book? This is on page 193 in the book that I have. It is chapter 13. So it's in chapter 13. So let me know if you saw that and if you had the same thoughts as me, if you had different thoughts than me, or if you totally skimmed over that and didn't even like let that process in your head. I really want to know, because I'm over here freaking out a little bit. But yeah, oh man, this book was good. Oh, I'm like raving about it. I'm telling people that I know that have the book, I'm like, okay, pull it off your bookshelf and read it, because I need to talk to you about this, because it's really important. It's like so important. All right, like I said, I'm obsessed with the book. I could like just keep rambling, but I'm gonna stop. Thank you for listening and all that good stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are on the book. Ooh, it's so good. All right, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.